The anniversary dinner was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it became a funeral for a marriage that had been dying for months. Michael sat across from his wife Amanda at the upscale restaurant, surrounded by their closest friends. The table was decorated with candles and flowers, but the atmosphere was suffocating. Amanda's eyes were cold, her smile forced. For the past 6 months, every conversation between them had been a minefield. To 10 years. Their friend David raised his glass, oblivious to the tension. Amanda's jaw clenched. She lifted her wine glass mechanically, her diamond ring catching the candlelight. That ring, once a symbol of forever, now felt like a shackle to both of them. 10 years of what exactly? Amanda's voice cut through the celebration like a blade. 10 years of you prioritizing work over me? 10 years of empty promises? Michael's face flushed. Amanda, not here. Please. Why not here? She stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. These people should know the truth, should know that my husband hasn't touched me in 4 months, that he comes home at midnight and sleeps in the guest room. The table fell silent. Michael could feel everyone's eyes on him, burning with judgment and pity. You want to do this now? Michael stood too, his voice low and dangerous. Fine. Let's talk about how you've spent the last year criticizing everything I do. How nothing I do is ever good enough for you. Because you stopped trying. Amanda's voice cracked. You stopped seeing me, Michael. I became invisible in my own marriage. Across the table, Natalie, Amanda's best friend since college, watched with increasing distress. She'd witnessed their relationship deteriorate, caught in the middle of late-night phone calls from Amanda and quiet conversations with Michael when Amanda would storm off. Natalie had tried to help, to mediate, but the chasm between them had grown too wide. I stopped trying? Michael laughed bitterly. I worked 80-hour weeks to give you the life you wanted. The house, the cars, the vacations you posted on social media to make everyone think we were perfect. I never wanted those things, Amanda screamed. I wanted you. I wanted a husband who came home, who talked to me, who made love to me like I mattered. The intimate revelation made several guests look away uncomfortably, but Amanda was past caring about propriety. You know what? Amanda's hand went to her ring finger. Her fingers trembled as she twisted the wedding band. I'm done. I'm done pretending this means anything. She yanked the ring off and hurled it at Michael. It struck his chest and clattered to the floor, rolling across the hardwood before stopping at Natalie's feet. We're finished, Amanda said, her voice suddenly calm with finality. That ring means nothing. This marriage means nothing. You can have your freedom, Michael. I hope it keeps you warm at night. She grabbed her purse and walked out, leaving behind a table of stunned witnesses and a marriage shattered beyond repair. The silence after Amanda's exit was deafening. Michael stood frozen, his mind struggling to process what had just happened. 10 years ended with a thrown ring and a public execution. Natalie bent down and picked up the ring. She held it carefully, as if it might burn her. When she looked up at Michael, her green eyes held something he'd seen growing there for months, a tenderness that went beyond friendship. Michael, she said softly, maybe you should go after her. He shook his head slowly. No, she's right. It's been over for a long time. We were just too cowardly to admit it. The restaurant manager approached nervously, clearly hoping to defuse the situation. Sir, perhaps some privacy would be... We're leaving, Michael said. He looked at Natalie. Will you walk with me? They left together, leaving their bewildered friends behind. Outside, the cool night air felt liberating. They walked in silence for several blocks before settling on a bench in a small park. I'm sorry you had to witness that, Michael said. Natalie turned the ring over in her fingers. I've been witnessing it for months, Michael. The slow death of your marriage. Amanda calling me at 2 in the morning, crying. You texting me, asking if she'd said anything about what she wanted. I know I put you in an impossible position. You didn't put me anywhere. Natalie's voice was barely a whisper. For both of you at first. I chose to be there. But then... Michael looked at her. Really looked at her. Natalie had always been beautiful. Auburn hair, delicate features, a warmth that drew people to her. But over the past months, as his marriage crumbled, he'd begun seeing her differently. The way she listened without judgment. How she understood his silences. The gentle way she'd touch his arm when he was struggling. But then what? He asked. Natalie met his gaze. In her eyes, he saw everything she'd been hiding. Then it became harder to be objective, harder to separate Amanda's best friend from my own feelings. Michael's heart pounded. Natalie! I know, she interrupted. I know it's wrong. You're married to my best friend. Or were. God, I don't even know what you are now. But I can't keep pretending I haven't fallen in love with you. The confession hung between them like a bridge across an impossible chasm. Michael took the ring from her hand. He looked at it, this symbol of broken promises, and then at Natalie. In his mind, he saw the past 6 months, Amanda's contempt, his own loneliness, and Natalie's quiet presence through it all. What he did next defied logic, defied propriety, defied everything except the desperate need for something real. He slid off the bench and knelt before her. Michael, what are you? Natalie Chen Williams, he said, holding up the ring. I know this is insane. I know it's impulsive and probably the worst idea I've ever had. But that ring Amanda threw away? She's right. It doesn't represent our marriage anymore. Maybe it never really did. Natalie's hand covered her mouth. This past year, you've been the only person who saw me, really saw me, and I've been too blind and too married to admit that I've been falling for you too. His voice cracked. Will you marry me? Natalie stared at Michael, kneeling before her, the ring glinting between his fingers. Her mind screamed that this was madness, that she should run, that this would destroy her friendship with Amanda and brand her as a betrayer forever. But her heart whispered something different. Yes, she breathed. Michael's eyes widened, as if he'd expected rejection. Yes. Yes. Louder now, more certain. She extended her trembling hand. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly, an irony neither of them missed. Then he was rising, and she was standing, and they were kissing with years of suppressed longing finally unleashed. The kiss was nothing like the polite affection Michael had shared with Amanda in recent years. This was desperate, consuming, real. Natalie's hands tangled in his hair, his arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her close until no space remained between them. We're insane. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Natalie laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. You know that, right? Completely, Michael agreed. She didn't actually divorce you. I just proposed to my wife's best friend an hour after she divorced me in a restaurant. Legally, you're still married. Details. Michael cupped her face. Natalie, I need you to understand something. This isn't just rebound insanity. These feelings. I've been fighting them for months, maybe longer. Me too, she admitted. Do you remember last Christmas? At your house? Michael nodded. Amanda had been upstairs, furious about something he couldn't even remember now. He'd been in the kitchen, and Natalie had found him there, looking defeated. You asked me if I thought marriages could survive without intimacy, Natalie continued. And I said yes, but I was lying, because all I could think about was how much I wanted to kiss you, how wrong it was, how I was betraying my best friend just by thinking it. What happened to us? Michael asked. How did we get here? Amanda happened. Or rather, what you and Amanda became. Natalie's expression grew serious. Michael, I love her. She's been my friend for 15 years. But I also watched her systematically tear you down. Watched you shrink into yourself, trying to be whatever she needed. She'd say, I withdrew first. Maybe you both did. Natalie sighed. But that doesn't change the fact that somewhere in the midst of trying to save your marriage, we found something neither of us expected. Michael's phone buzzed. A text from David. Dude, what the hell is happening? Amanda left. Said you could rot in hell. Where are you? They're going to hate us, Michael said. Probably. Natalie looked at the ring on her finger. Amanda definitely will. Are you having second thoughts? Natalie considered the question seriously. Then she kissed him again, slower this time, savoring it. When she pulled back, her eyes were clear. No second thoughts, but we need to be smart about this. You need to file for divorce. We need to give this time before we go public. How much time? I don't know. Enough that it doesn't look like we were having an affair. We weren't, Michael said firmly. I know, but will anyone believe that? They returned to Michael's car and drove to her apartment. Inside, the reality of what they'd done began to settle. They sat on her couch, Natalie curled against Michael's side, both lost in thought. Tell me about when you knew, Michael said. Natalie smiled sadly. 6 months ago, you'd stopped by to drop off Amanda's birthday present. She wasn't home. We had coffee, and you told me about your dreams, the ones you'd given up. You looked so lost, Michael, and I wanted to fix everything for you. That's when I knew it wasn't just friendship anymore. His arm tightened around her. I should have seen what was happening between us. You were trying to save your marriage. That's honorable. Was it? Or was I just too cowardly to admit it was already dead? They sat in comfortable silence until Natalie spoke again. What do we do now? Now? Michael turned to face her fully. Now we deal with the fallout. Together. The next morning, Michael woke up in Natalie's bed. They'd spent the night talking, sharing confessions and fears, eventually falling asleep in each other's arms. He'd held her like he was afraid she'd disappear, and she'd pressed herself against him, both of them finding comfort in finally being honest. But morning brought reality crashing back. Michael's phone showed 43 missed calls and countless texts. Amanda had told everyone, his family, her family, their friends. The messages ranged from confused to accusatory to outright hostile. His mother. What have you done? How could you embarrass Amanda like that? His brother. Bro, people are saying you proposed to Natalie at the restaurant. Tell me that's not true. Amanda's sister. You're a piece of shit. She gave you everything, and you throw it away for her best friend? Hope it was worth it. Natalie stirred beside him, her auburn hair spread across the pillow. In the morning light, she looked peaceful, beautiful. When her eyes opened and found his, she smiled before remembering everything. It's bad, isn't it? She asked. He showed her his phone. She checked hers. Similar messages, though hers were more focused on betrayal and how she could do this to Amanda. We need to talk to her, Natalie said. Together. She'll never agree to see us. Then we show up. They did. At the house, Michael and Amanda had shared for 5 years. Amanda's car was in the driveway. Amanda was in the kitchen, her eyes swollen from crying. Michael's hands shook as he unlocked the door. Technically still his house too. When she saw them together, her face transformed into pure rage. Get out, she hissed. Amanda, please, Natalie started. Get out. How dare you come here? How dare you stand in my house wearing my ring? It's not your ring anymore, Michael said quietly. You threw it away. So you gave it to her? To my best friend? Amanda's laugh was bitter. How long, Michael? How long have you been fucking her behind my back? We never, Natalie began. Don't lie to me. You expect me to believe this just happened? That you just coincidentally fell for each other the same night I ended things? Believe what you want, Michael said. But we never cheated. Not physically. Emotionally, though? Amanda's eyes narrowed. All those late nights, she was comforting me about our marriage. She was probably thinking about stealing my husband. Natalie flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, best friend. Explain how you fell in love with my husband without betraying me. The question hung in the air, unanswerable because the truth was complicated. Natalie had betrayed her, even if unintentionally. Even if nothing physical had happened until after Amanda ended the marriage. I'm sorry, Natalie whispered. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. You both did. Amanda's voice broke. I threw away my marriage because I thought it was dead. Because I thought he didn't love me anymore. Was I wrong? Did he just love you instead? Michael met Amanda's eyes. I did love you. For years, I loved you with everything I had. But we destroyed each other, Amanda. You know we did. So you moved on to her? I didn't plan this. But you're not sorry it happened? Michael looked at Natalie, then back at Amanda. No, I'm not sorry. The honesty was brutal. Amanda sank into a chair, all the fight draining from her. Get your things and get out, she said dully. My lawyer will contact you about the divorce. Amanda, Natalie tried again. I never want to see you again, either of you. You're dead to me. They left. Michael packed 2 suitcases while Amanda stayed in the kitchen, refusing to acknowledge his presence. When he walked out the door for the last time, 15 years of his life condensed into 2 bags. Back at Natalie's apartment, the weight of what they'd done settled over them. She'll never forgive us, Natalie said. I know. Everyone will hate us. I know. Was it worth it? Ask me that in a year. Michael pulled her close, kissed her forehead, then her lips. Ask me when the dust settles and we're still together. Ask me when I wake up next to you and don't feel like I'm suffocating. Natalie kissed him back, harder this time. The kiss deepened, became more urgent. Clothes fell away as they stumbled toward the bedroom, both desperate to prove that this impossible thing between them was real, was worth the cost. In the aftermath, tangled in sheets and each other, Michael traced patterns on Natalie's bare shoulder. We're going to make it, he said. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. She believed him. She had to. The small courthouse wedding was attended by exactly 7 people. Michael's brother, who'd eventually come around, Natalie's parents, who'd always found Amanda difficult, and 3 friends brave enough to support them despite the social fallout. Michael watched Natalie walk down the makeshift aisle in a simple cream dress. She wore her mother's pearls and carried wildflowers. Nothing like the elaborate ceremony he'd had with Amanda. This was intimate, honest theirs. When they exchanged vows, new rings, new promises, Michael felt a peace he'd never experienced before. This marriage began with truth, not illusion. The past year had been brutal. Amanda's divorce lawyer had been vicious, painting Michael as an adulterer despite the timeline. He'd lost friends, endured judgment, and watched his reputation suffer. Natalie had lost more: her oldest friendship, her standing in their social circle, and countless opportunities as word spread about the homewrecker. But they'd survived. They'd found new friends who didn't care about the scandal. They'd built a life that was messy and imperfect, but fundamentally real. They'd learned each other's flaws, Natalie's stubbornness, Michael's tendency to withdraw, and loved each other anyway. The divorce had been finalized 3 months ago. Amanda had remarried quickly to a colleague who, Michael heard through mutual acquaintances, treated her like a queen. He was genuinely happy for her. The woman he'd married deserved someone who could give her what she needed, and he'd finally accepted that person was never him. At the reception, a casual backyard barbecue, Michael's brother raised his glass. "A year ago," he said, "I thought my brother had lost his mind, proposing to his wife's best friend. Insane. But watching them this past year, I realized something. Sometimes love doesn't follow the rules. Sometimes it's messy and complicated and hurts people, but that doesn't make it less real." He turned to Michael and Natalie. "You two chose each other knowing the cost. That takes courage. Here's to your courage, your honesty, and your future." Later, alone in their new apartment, Michael and Natalie stood on the balcony watching the sunset. She wore his ring now, a new one, chosen together. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "The way it happened?" Michael considered carefully. "I regret hurting Amanda. I regret the friendship you lost. But do I regret us? Never. Even with everything we went through? Especially because of everything we went through." He turned her to face him. "Natalie, you were there when I was drowning. You saw the worst of me and didn't run. That's worth more than 1,000 perfect, socially acceptable courtships." She kissed him, soft and sweet. "I love you." "I love you too." Inside, they made love slowly, tenderly, not with the desperate urgency of that first night, but with the confidence of two people who'd chosen each other fully. They knew each other's bodies now, knew how to give and receive pleasure, knew that this intimacy was built on something deeper than physical attraction. Afterward, lying in the darkness, Natalie's head on his chest, Michael thought about the journey, from that explosive anniversary dinner to this moment of quiet contentment. It had been the hardest year of his life and the best. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I saw the wedding announcement. Congratulations. I hope you're happy. Aja." Amanda. After a year of silence, she'd reached out. The message was simple, but Michael heard forgiveness in it, or at least acceptance. "Who is it?" Natalie asked sleepily. "Amanda, wishing us well." Natalie lifted her head, eyes wide. "Really? Really?" She settled back against him. Maybe time does heal things. Maybe. Michael deleted the message, not out of disrespect, but because this was about the future, not the past. He and Natalie had a lifetime ahead of them, a lifetime of choosing each other every day, of building something real from the rubble of what came before. Outside, the city lights sparkled. Inside, two people who'd found love in the wreckage of a broken marriage held each other and dreamed of tomorrow. The story didn't have a fairy tale beginning, but the ending, that was theirs to write. Sometimes, love doesn't ask permission. Sometimes it arrives in chaos, demanding we choose between comfort and truth. Michael and Natalie chose truth, and in doing so, they discovered that the most honest love stories aren't the ones that follow the rules. They're the ones brave enough to break them.